So today's agenda is to talk about visualization of train, CV, and test data, right? So let's try to understand what we are going to discuss here. So this is my data, which is the train data. Now, if you guys remember what we did or what we discussed in the last few sessions is that cross validation technique, right? And what we normally do is I have a DN data, right? I have a DN data. That data I am splitting into three parts. One is train data, second is the CV data, cross validation data, and the third data which we have is the test data. And if you guys remember, we used this two data set to get the value of K and NN, right? And then this is my unseen data which we are using to again get a further confirmation that the model which we are working is correctly predicting or not. For example, from here train data we are getting the neighbors, from DCV we are getting the nearest neighbors, and from DCV we are getting the value of K, and we are finding the accuracy which is coming again from DCV. And if the same accuracy coming with D test data also, then we will be more confident that yes, the predictions which we are making is on the correct lines. So this data which we have, the colorful scooters and cycles, are basically the train data. And from the fact or from the understanding, we can clearly say that my CV data and my test data will not be the same. It will be different, right? I had DN, I divided that into three parts. This is one part of that. That is the train data where I am going to train my model. If my CV is exactly same as train, then it's not making any sense, right? Because again, DN is a set of data where I split into three parts. This is my train part. And this data should be different, or most probably it will be different. There will be some common points, no doubt about that, but mostly it should be different than my this data. And similarly, this test data should be different than these two data as well, right? That is what we understand. So this data which we are getting is nothing but my train data. Now how my CV data will look like? My CV data will be something like this. So this is my CV data, right? This is my CV data. So the blue color scooters and cycles which we are seeing are my cross validation data. Obviously there is one outlier here, right? This guy is falling here, and again this scooter is an outlier. If I go back to my train data, I can clearly say that this is an outlier which is actually coming in the cycle area. Similarly, this is an outlier which is actually coming in the scooter area. So if I am going with K is equal to 1, my classification will be how? It will be something like this. Overfitting. That is how it will be, right? If suppose this is my classification with K is equal to 1, obviously, then what will happen? If I go with my CV data, you can see that this cycle will also be predicted as maybe scooter or maybe cycle, depends where it is. And if I go here, if I take the scooter, here also you can see that this scooter may get predicted as cycle, this scooter may get predicted as cycle, right? Similarly, this scooter may get predicted as cycle. Because of this outliers, right, because of this outliers, my actual CV data is also impacting. But suppose if I'm going with K is equal to 5, if I'm going with K equal to 5, then how it will look like? Let's see that. If I'm going with K equal to 5, then my separation will be, actually I created very near thing, but let's say my separation will be like this. This is my separation, right? Now what will happen? Obviously there will be some error. This is the error. This is the error. But if I have a CV data, right? Now, obviously this can also be an outlier. This can also be an outlier. But suppose let's assume that outlier is not there in my data set. Then it will do a proper predictions. This will be a cycle. This will be a scooter, right? Here, luckily or unluckily, we have the outlier in the CV data also, right? So predictions will be wrong for these two guys. But suppose outliers are not there, suppose the noise is not there, suppose the error points are not there, then this prediction is perfect. But here the main agenda is that to help you understand that I will, if I want to visualize my train data, cross validation data, and the test data, it will not gonna overlap. It will be different than each other, right? If I go ahead and visualize my uh, test data, this is my test data, right? Now this is my test data. If I am coming up with this line, the straight line which I was creating actually, like this, right? Then here the prediction is perfect, right? Here the prediction is perfect. Here all the cycles which we have are cycles as per the predictions. All the scooters which we have are scooters as per the predictions. But suppose if I am going with overfitting model, suppose I am going with overfitting model, which is something like this, something like this, right? Here is one scooter, something like this. So here every data is impacting. My cross validation data is also impacting. Here the green scooters, this scooter should be again, this looks like an outlier, but here for bicycle there is no outlier, right? So if some scooter will come here, it will predict as bicycle, which is wrong, right? So as it's an overfitted model will obviously gonna lead to more errors when we have applied that overfitted model on maybe on CV or maybe on test, which obviously is possible because these are my outliers in the data set. If I consider these as these my outliers, the colorful bicycles and the bikes, right? So these are my outliers. Because of the outliers, I am overfitting the model. But at the end, the ultimate aim here to help you understand is that my CV data, my CV data, my test data, and my train data all will be different, right? It's not like if this is CV, then my train data will be the same also, and my test data will be the same also. Then no point creating the model. We know that the output will all, like the inputs will be same, right? So it's no point. So that is what we have to understand here. So if I want to write it, if I want to write the understanding of this, we can very well say that my D train, the very first point, my D train or DCV or D test will not overlap, right? There will be some overlaps, but it is like random splits happening, right? It's a random split. That's why overlap chances are less. So it's a random split. Overlap as in what I'm saying, if this is the train, same data is the test and same data is the CV for all the points. It's not possible, right? It's not possible. All the points, the same exact, it's not. But yeah, nearby things will be there. But exactly the same point, which are train, which are in train, which are in test, which are in CV, all the points is not possible, which logically makes sense. Second point is that, second point is that if there are many positive points, let's assume that this is my section of the data, this is my section of the data, right? Here I have, let's say, the green points, which are like positive points, which are like positive points. That means going by cycle, for example, right? So if there are many positive points in that section, or if there are many negative points in that section, right? For the D train, then there is a high chances, there is a high chances that we will find more positive points from CV and test also, which logically makes sense, right? If I go back here in this image, this is my, this is my let's say this is my negative points, these are my positive points. So my CV data and test data should also have more number of negative points here, more number of positive points here. Then only it will make sense, right? If suppose there are more scooters here for CV data, then my model will be like worst. It will never say that these guys are going to go by cycle. Oh, sorry, by scooter. It will say that it will go by cycle. They will go by cycle. So when we are having the data set, when we are splitting the data set, this is my negative points, this is my positive points. So my test data and my CV data will also have more number of negative points at the negative side and more number of positive points at the positive side in the CV data as well as in the test data, right? Which absolutely should happen. If that is not happening, then obviously predictions will be wrong. So the second point coming out to be, if there are many points, many positive or negative points, right? Many positive or negative points from D train, in a region, right? Then it is highly probable or highly likely that we will find more or many positive or negative points from CV as well as the test, right? And on the contrary, if I say, if there are very few positive or negative points, very few positive or negative points in a region from D train, right? Then it is very unlikely to find many positive or negative points from CV as well as D test, which again makes sense, right? Because these are errors. For example, let's say I have a section of this is my D train. Let's say this is my D train. Here I have a very, like, these are my negative points. These are my negative points. And also I see some positive points. Few, very few. So it's very unlikely that if I am having a what do you say, the CV data or test data, let's say this is my negative points for CV data, I cannot have more pluses here. I cannot have more pluses here from the CV, right? It should be more negatives only from the CV as well as from the test. I should have more number of negative points rather than positive points. I may have few pluses from CV as well as test, but it will not be like I have more number of negative points from the train, but there are more number of positive points from the CV and the test. Obviously, it will be gonna give me wrong predictions, right? So that is what intuitively we can say. Now, this is how it will look like. Now, the next concept which we have is how to determine overfitting and underfitting. How will I determine whether my model is overfitted model or underfitted model, right? Now, this is again very good concept. We already had a brief discussion about the overfitting and underfitting when k is equal to 1, when k is equal to 5, and when k is equal to n. We had a discussion about that. That was a very brief understanding, right? So if you guys remember, we had a discussion that when k is equal to 1, then my line will be more curvy. When k is equal to 5, my line will be more smoother. And when k is equal to n, then it will take the majority voting, right? Majority voting. And obviously, it will go to the majority class. Suppose more people are going with a scooter, so it will predict for every guy scooter only, right? That is what we discussed in one of the sessions. Now, in this, we'll try to understand how actually we can determine whether it is really overfitted or not, right? So what I want to do is that we applied the k-fold technique, right? So we applied the k-fold technique on, we took the CB data and we found the best k. That is what we are aware of, right? And the task which I want to do is, now I want to know whether it is neither overfit nor underfit. That is what I'm looking for, right? I want the best k which will not lead to the overfit and not lead to the underfit. So the question arises here is that how can we sure how can we be sure that we are not underfitting or overfitting the model? How can we be sure? Now, we already had a discussion about the accuracy in one of the sessions, right? Where we spoke about the confusion matrix and all those things. So accuracy, the formula comes out to be, accuracy is nothing but correctly predicted class points upon total number of points, right? Total number of points. That is what my accuracy is. Let's assume that the accuracy is coming out to be 95. And 1 minus accuracy is my error. That is 1 minus 0.95. That is coming out to be 0.05, right? 0.05. That is my error. We already discussed that it's a generalization error in the last session. So basically my aim is what? My aim is that I want to increase this accuracy and I want to reduce this error. That is what my ultimate aim is, right? It should be less. Obviously, the real-time scenario will not get 95% accuracy also. 60, 65 is very much, people say it's very decent, right? But now, what we are doing is, we are actually having my DN, right? We are having the DN. We are splitting this data into dtrain, dCV, and dtest, right? If you guys again remember, I'm again repeating this because this is very important. We are taking nearest neighbor from my train data and trying to understand which k is the best from the CB data, right? That is what my function is, where k is coming out from CB, which is the best nearest neighbor, giving me good accuracy, and NN is, we are actually taking the train data to get the nearest neighbors, right? And then we plot the chart. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the k, and these are my k's basically, 1, 2, 3, and so on. And here we have the accuracy, right? We have the accuracy, and we normally get the plot something like this, right? We get normally the plot something like this, and from there we decide that which one is giving me the best accuracy. This is we are already aware of. So basically, what we are doing is we are actually taking. Let's apply a for loop. So for each point in data CV, I'll take that as query point. My model is going to use this train data. I will take the points from this CV, because see, in dtrain, xi's, yi's will be there. In dCV also, xi's, yi's will be there. And in dtest also, xi's and yi's will be there, because all are coming from DN, right? All are coming from DN. So what we are doing is, we created the model using this train data. Now we are using this CV data, passing the xi's in the model. I am getting some y predicted. This y predicted, I want to compare with yi's. If both are matching, then it's a correct prediction. If not, then it's a wrong prediction, right? So for each point in DCV, xq, which is nothing but this, I am taking this xq, which is nothing but my x1, you can say xi, x1. I will get my yq or y predicted, whatever, right? Which I have to compare with yi, right? If this y predicted is matching with yi or y1, then it is accurate. Then it is accurate. Else, it's an error, right? Else, it's an error. Now, from that, two things comes in. There are two types of errors which we have to think of. Again, let's go again and try to understand this in very easy and simple format. Let's say I have a train data, right? Let's say I'll create a table. I'll create a table. Let's go very slow and try to understand this concept. I splitted the data into three parts. This is my D train. This is my DCV, and this is my D test. Okay. Now what I will do, the very first concept which I will discuss is training error. Training error. Now what is training error? I created the model using train, right? I created the model using train. So I took the data. I created the model. I am getting the nearest neighbor from here, right? And I'm taking the value of k from here, which is the best k, giving me the best accuracy. That is how we are creating the model. Now what will I do is, suppose my k coming out to be 2, or let's say my k coming out to be 3. Let's go with odd numbers. Now what I will do, there are some set of records in D train. There are some set of records in D train which consist of xi's and yi. What I will do, the model which I have created, I will pass all these records only in the model. I will pass all these records which are there in the train, will pass in the model, and I will get some output. Y predicted. Now here what we are doing, we are training the data on the train. We are getting the k value from the CV, and then we are using the train data itself and passing in the model to get the predicted value. Okay. So basically, for each point xi in D train, find three nearest neighbor to xi from D train only, right? So I'm getting the data from D train. I am passing the model in the model which we have created. I am getting some predicted value for D train, and then I am checking the output. It will have some error, right? That is known as the training error. Training error. If my model is 3NN, right? That is my training error, because I used my train data for creating the model, and I am using the train data itself to check the output, what the output is, and whatever the error I am getting is my training error. So here I got my D train, I got some output. After that, what I will do, with the majority vote, I will get the class level. I will get the class level, right? Now, if yi is equal to class level, this yi is equal to the class level coming out from the model, then it is accurate. Else error. And this error is nothing but my training error. Okay, this error is nothing but my training error. Now what I will do, I will take CV. I'll do all the steps, but this time I will do with CV. So for each point, so now here, what I will do is, I will, again, the model is already created, right? Model is already created. Now, for each point, we have, for each point xi in DCV, find 3 nearest neighbor to xi from dtrain, right? I will take DCV data and I will get the distance from the train. I'll get some predictions. If it is matching with the class label, so I will get the class label from here, class label. And if this class label is matching with my original original yi here, which is on the CV, then it's accurate. Else error. Here also one error coming in, and this error is known as validation error. Okay. So two types of error coming in. One is, once I created the model, I will pass my train data on that model. I'll get the predictions. There will be some error. I'll get the errors. That error is known as training error because we are passing training data on the model. After that, on the same model, I am passing the validation data, CV. I am getting the predictions. There also I will get some error, and that error is known as validation error. These are the two types of error we have. Okay. Now, I will create a chart. The chart will get built where here I will have various values of k's, k1, 2, 3, and so on. And here I will plot the error. Now, if you guys remember in the very initial classes, we discussed about that when k is equal to 1, the error will be less. Error will be less. And obviously, this error will be less on the trained data, right? Because we are overfitting the model. So, error will be less on the trained data. And when k is equal to n, that is the highest value, number of records, then error will be high. That is also we discussed. So if I want to plot my training error will be something like this. Almost 0 to it will exponentially gonna increase. This is my training error, right? Where error will be almost 0 to exponentially increasing when k is equal to n. Okay. Now this line, the white line which we have is my training error. Now let's pass the model on the validation data. In validation data also we will get some error. Typically what happens is that in validation, the trend goes like this. Typically, we'll see that in the coding also. So validation error normally goes like this. Normally goes like this. Right? Initially, we'll have more error because this is the overfitted data. K is equal to 1. It is overfitted. If there is no outlier in my data set in the CV, then obviously error will be there because we overfitted the data. So error will be more. And if like as and when the k is increasing, the curve will become more smoother, so my error will reduce. And again, when I will go with the underfit model, then obviously error will increase again. This is what this area is. What this is underfit. I really don't care. I'll assign to the maximum majority class because k is equal to n. It's an underfit model. And this area is what? this area is overfit. Because here my training data is 0 because I overfitted the model. My CV data cannot be exactly the same, right? We just discussed in the visualization of the data. It can be different. It should be different. So I will have more error when the model is overfitted. When the model is underfitted, then also there will be more error. For obviously the gap is more, error will be more, right? So this is my error. Here the gap is more, error is more, and here also both the error are more. I am looking for what where it is merging. Let's say it's merging here. Here it is merging, right? Here it is merging. Where the gap is very, what do you say? Training error is not very high, and also validation is error is also not very high, right? The lowest point, basically. This is the lowest point. And this is my best K. At this point, I will not be having the overfitting or underfitting. Let's assume that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is my best nearest neighbor, where my validation error and the what do you say, the training error, you can say it's coming near, and validation error is lowest. At the end, what we are looking for, my validation error should be less. This is my trade-off, right? This is my trade-off, and this is my best K, basically. Best K. So basically, if the training error and CV error are high, then it is underfit. If my training error and validation error are high, it is a case of underfitting. If my training error is less and validation error is high, it's a case of overfitting. So we are looking for a point where I will have the very less validation error. If I go back on the Google, let's look for this type of images. Let's open that. So here we'll look for underfit, overfitting in machine learning. Let's go with some images. You can see we are getting this image. Right? Training error is 0, almost 0. Test error. So this is my overfitting area. When the gap is more, that is what we discussed. Overfitting when the gap is more. And here the gap is less. Underfitting. And I am looking for the lowest error. That is my best fit. So this class label is nothing but the predictions, basically. Whether I'm going with the cycle or I'm going with a scooter. That is my class label. If my YI, which is original, right? Here I have data, scooter. And my class label is also saying scooter. Then it is correct. But if this is class label is coming out to be cycle, then it's wrong. Okay. So my prediction coming as cycle, then it's wrong. Class label is wrong. Because it's not matching with YI. Now the next concept is, again, this is also one more interesting concept, which is time-based splitting. Now, if you guys remember, we had the DN, we splitted the data into 3 parts: D train, D CV, and D test. This splitting happened randomly, right? The split happened randomly, which is okay. No issues with that. There is no problem with that. But let's discuss about one scenario. Let's say I have the data set. Let's say I have the data set which consists of various features, which is x1, x2, x3 like that. So let me give feature 1, feature 2, feature n. And there are various rows in that, R1, R2, let's say Rm. There is one row xi, right? There is one row xi. For the corresponding xi, I will have yi also, right? I will have yi also, whether it is positive or negative. If I'm talking about the classification problem, right? And then when we are doing a random split, then it will randomly choose. Let's say I'll say, okay, this part is my, undo this, not a good line. I can say randomly that, okay, this part is my test data. Sorry, this part is my train data. Maybe I can choose this part as my test data and this part is my CV data. I will randomly choose that. It's a random split. But let's assume that I am dealing with a company where I'm launching a product every month, right? And when I come up with a new product, obviously initially I will face some challenges, that I'm not giving a proper service to the proper service to my customers for that product. All those things happens, right? And that will fix over the period of time. That fixes over the period of time, right? For example, let's say I launched a Python course. Now students are asking a lot many questions. I am alone the person who is taking care of this course. So initially I will not able to answer much students. Obviously feedback will be bad, right? Because I am not responding on time. But over the period of time, once I get the revenue or maybe things will streamline, I will have more people who will take care of these questions. So automatically my feedback will increase. My feedback will become positive over the period of time. If that is the case, what to do? If I go with a random split, then that there is a problem, right? Suppose I am taking this part of the data as my train data, or let's say if I am taking, it will not be just a chunk of data. It will be like, okay, this part, this few records, and this few records are my train data. Here I have some very bad feedbacks. Here I have very average feedbacks. Here I am having very excellent feedbacks. So it's a mix of data. But when I'm using this model, lately the records which I'm getting, it is very highly positive feedback, right? So if when I'm going with a random selection, lately the feedbacks are positive. So the training data which we are actually using is not that perfect, because here I have bad feedbacks as well, but now I am not getting that bad feedbacks because the product is now streamlined. Things are very good now. So what to do? I will first sort the data. There will be a time dimension, and this time based splitting will happen on when there is a time column as well. If there is a time column as well, then only time based splitting will happen, else it will not, right? So I will sort the data. My top records will be very bad, then over the period of time it's becoming good, right? Now suppose at this current state of time, let's say I'm trading the model in 15 days, last 15 days data. So this is my last, let's say 60% of the day's data. This is last 20% of the day's data, which is CV data, and this is 20% of the data, which is like the test data. So as I sorted the data, and I am dealing with last 15 days only, so this feedbacks will be more relevant rather than I have the unsorted data and more number of records, right? I sorted the data and I'm getting, so time is splitting can only be done when time is there, and I will sort it and I will use the first chunk of the data for my training, middle chunk I will take for CV cross validation, and last chunk I will take for testing, right? Okay, so that is again an important aspect when mostly in the internet industries, right, where we are having a lot many feedbacks floating around on Zomatos and Swiggy's and Amazons and lot many companies. So in that case, we have to think of these lines rather than doing the random split, because when from the inception till today I will have multiple records coming in. Obviously, here the chunk of data will be more negative feedback. But over the period of time, things became stable. Now, if you are only taking this data for training purposes, or randomly, I will choose suppose, randomly I will choose suppose, then it's a mix of data. And I want to train my model for, let's say, last 15 days. So if I go back and choose the very initial data, let's say 5 years old data or 2 years old data, it will be a problem because it's a negative feedback. I will choose last 15 days data, and on that also over the period of time the things are changing. I will try to take this data for my training. This is CV and this is my this is my for testing. And as and when my time is increasing, my data will increasing as well for training and CV, right? So that is again one important concept where the things will change over the period of time. When the things will change over the period of time, I may have to go with time based splitting, because at every certain point in time the scenario is different, right? So basically I can say that if I train my model 15 days back, right, if I, let's say, if I train my model 15 days back, and if I tested on this from that 15 days to current day, right, 15 days, old 15 days, because this is my time t0 where I created the model. Today it's 15 days, so t14. Today my model is trained on this day. That means I took 15 days back data and I'm testing on this 15 days, right? And my accuracy coming is 91%. Let's see, right? So this is more relevant outcome, because for last 1 month scenario will be almost on the same lines, rather than taking the huge amount of data and randomly chooses the data. Suppose I'm using 2 years of data. I took few parts from here as train, few parts from here as train, and few parts from here as train. It's a mix of feedbacks, and I know that lately the things are positive for me. So here the training which is happening is not that accurate. The training will happen on the last few days of the data better as compared to randomly choosing the data from the entire data set. So basically, whenever time is available and my data is changing over the period of time, then time based splitting is the best option over random splitting, right? When my basically when my uh, whenever time is available, whenever time is available and if data changes over the period of time, then time based splitting is better than random splitting. Simple.